Welcome to Zandvoort for the second of two races for the Formula Renault Eurocup, and it really is a tale of two drivers at the moment. Caio Collet and Victor Martin duking it out at the top of the table, sharing race victories, so few points between them. They came here with just a 2-point difference after the first race, which was won by Victor Martin. He's extended that out to 9, but Caio Collet has struck back. He's taken pole for this, the second of the races, and full grid of cars about to be formed as the cars leave the pit lane. Track conditions perfect, and if you haven't been looking at racing at Zandvoort this year, you're in for a super treat, because we've got these 3 modified corners. Slight changes to the Hans-Ernst-Bock, that scratchy little chicane, but the third corner, the one we're sitting on the screen now, the banked, newly banked Hugenholzbock, absolutely fantastic corner, really adds to the racing. Nice warm air temperature, 18 degrees, wind starting to pick up now. Track temperature 18, air temperature nearly 16 degrees. And then the final corner of the lap, the Arie Luyendyk Bock, is the one that really catches the driver's attentions, because of course that is the one that feeds onto the final corner of the circuit. But let's go back and take a look at the first race, and it was fast and furious from the very outset with the two championship contenders at the sharp end of the field. First and second, it was Victor Martin on the inside. On the outside of the yellow car, that was Caio Collet. In behind, it was 2x2 formation around Tarzan. That hasn't changed. It still provides fantastic racing. And here, for the first time, through the bowl, if you will, at Hugenholzbock, and a few drivers running just a little bit too wide. Great racing down the order. But up at the front, up at the very front end of the field, it was the battle between the two championship challengers that caught the eye. All the other young tyros just seeing if they could keep up with them, but they simply couldn't keep up with the pace of Victor Martin and Caio Collet. Try as they did, William Alatalo, car number 38, diving very, very deep into Tarzan, somehow managing to get the braking done in time. Again, time and time again, drivers trying different lines, particularly when in traffic through that first corner, but third corner, sorry, Hugenholzbock. But if you didn't get a good exit, you were stuffed for the rest of the lap. But at the end, it was still Victor Martin, second place Caio Collet, and look at their advantage over the best of the rest. The best of the rest was the driver who came home in third place, and he's really starting to get a lot of points on the board, David Vidal, and certainly doing a really, really good job. But it's all about the first two in the championship. It's up to the others to see if they can step up, but certainly for all of them a chance to enjoy this newly revamped Zandvoort circuit. It's proved a great deal of fun so far, and I have no reason to think it will do nothing other than provide us with fantastic place to go racing. This second race, 30 minutes plus 1 bonus lap thrown in with a standing start, of course, these single-seaters, 18 of them coming round to the grid. But let's pop down to the grid, because we're going to have an interview coming up very shortly, right at the sharp end of the field.
Tarek, yesterday here we had a celebration of our Formula 3 champion, former Renault champion here as well. Also had Nick de Vries here supporting the championship, another former champion, just going to show the strength of this particular championship in creating future stars.
Well, it was great to have Nick and Oscar with us this weekend. I mean, it also shows how attached they are to the series, coming back to see, the guys running right now. And especially on this track in Zandvoort, where the first international series in single-seater that kind of inaugurate the track for Formula 1 next year. And, drivers are discovering this 33% rate bankings. And we have a very nice battle between Caio and Martins all throughout the weekend. They were fighting like crazy for qualifying, for pole, and now for the race. So it's going to be a very, very good race.
Yesterday's race was very, very close. The action was incredible.
Yeah, it's exactly. We had a lot of action everywhere. I think discovering a new track is always interesting, because drivers don't have their, references, and so there's a lot of mistakes everywhere. And this weekend we can see again Caio and Victor that are quite ahead of the pack. Vidal is just behind all the time. So today, they reverse the position for the qualifying, so it should be a pretty interesting race.
And for these young drivers, how hard is it for them to get used to driving on the banking and taking that into consideration?
Well, we could see on Thursday and Friday testing that they had some difficulties finding the right, the best trajectory, the best line in the corner with the banking. But little by little, I think the best line was, the outside one, and now everybody's there. So but it was quite tough for them to figure it out.
Well, it's another race ahead of us. Again, I'm sure it'll be a close battle between the two front runners. Tariq, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So Tariq Ait Said telling us how it is, and certainly looking down the list. Oh, we've got a problem coming around. Amaury Cordeel was due to be starting quite close to the front of the grid, 5th on the grid. So big frustration for the driver who was due to start 5th, and that is really very unfortunate indeed. Came here relatively well placed in the championship, but looking to gain, and had a good run, a decent run yesterday. Amaury came home in 5th place, due to start 5th today. So big frustration. Just touching back as we celebrate 50 years of Formula Renault, just on some of the former champions that reached Formula 1. Pedro de la Rosa, champion in 1992, Felipe Massa in 2000, Kamui Kobayashi, Brendan Hartley, Valtteri Bottas, Stoffel Van Dorn, Pierre Gasly, most recent driver to reach Formula 1 from there, Lando Norris, or the most recent champion. So what a huge run of drivers made their first or even second steps in racing in Formula Renault, and it's really been a fabulous training ground. But disappointment there for Amaury Cordeel. In fact, yes, 5th place yesterday was the best result for the Belgian racer. Started the season with 6th place at Monza and a string of top 10 finishes, but looking to build on the experience gained yesterday. So that will be very frustrating indeed. The driver who will be starting on the pit wall side, that is not the pole side, is Victor Martin, championship leader. The driver on pole, Caio Collet. 3rd, it was a really good run for ART Grand Prix. Victor Martin 2nd on the grid. Paul Aron, looking at him, the Estonian racer, 3rd on the grid. And alongside Grégoire Saucy, the 3rd of their drivers, starting from 4th place. So clearly the drivers perform well, and the team have a tip-top setup for the cars. And we heard from Tariq Ait Said there talking about the degree of banking, 33-degree banking. These drivers would never have come across anything like that. And it's not just how complex it is to get it right on the banking at the final corner, the Arie Luijendijk block. It's also managing to find the right sort of line through the Hugenholz block, which to my mind is the more complicated of the two. That was originally just a sharp left-hand hairpin. It's less sharp, more bold now. And certainly you can see these drivers trying many lines. But the top 2 drivers in the championship, Victor Martin and Caio Collet, seem to be right on top of it. MP Motorsport, Dutch team on home ground. Franco Colapinto, he started the season with victory in the first race, but apart from a 3rd place next time out, he's not been on the podium, so he's looking to fight back. In fact, he's had a host of 6th place finishes, and he's starting 6th on the grid, so he's pretty much, I guess, where he'd expect to be. Lorenzo Columba, he tried something different in qualifying this morning. The track was still damp when they went out, so he went out and stayed out on wet weather tyres and put in a time that, in the end, I'm trying to think if he even improved on that. Yes, he did, right at the end, but everyone else came in for slicks, and his time stood good for a while until the heat got into the track, but in the end he fell down to 7th overall. David Vidal is 3rd in the championship, 3rd yesterday, starting a bit further back than planned, in 8th place overall. But it really was a case of all these drivers getting out, hoping the track dried enough for the slicks to work, and then right at the end, everybody's laps were improving right the way to the checkered flag. Petr Potacek, he was up at the front end at one stage in qualifying. He stayed out for longer before coming in for slicks, and it didn't work for him. So he'll be starting down in 9th place. Teammate of Caio Collet, so between them they share a lot of information. Roman Stanek, one of 2 Czech drivers in the field, has joined the championship this weekend to compete with MP Motorsport alongside Adrian David. Top rookie, by the way, we've got a rookie class as well, is Paul Aron in 3rd place on the grid, so that's looking very promising for the Estonian. His best finish is a 2nd place, which he achieved at the Nürburgring, but a series of good results. Only Dutch driver enjoying his home circuit, Timen van der Helm. Most gloriously coloured car on the grid. A lot of the others are relatively plain and running in their team colours, but Timen is very distinctive in that metallic mid-blue with red and gold flashes on it. And as the team personnel scurry their way off the grid, we've got half an hour of racing ahead of us, plus 1 further lap. Don't park it up after half an hour. Carry on for 1 further racing lap. Drivers, not a single one of them has any reason to have an excuse about the track surface. Perfect conditions. Mid-teens in terms of air temperature, slightly high. It was 18 degrees track temperature. It's bone dry, not too windy. Of course, over the years, one of the curses at Zandvoort used to be the sand blowing off the dunes straight onto the track, and it would be different pretty much every lap. And the loss of grip when you were going over the top of the hill into Chevelak could be really quite eye-opening. But this final formation lap, and it's Caio Collet, car number 1, leading the field around. The Brazilian racer, he's second in the championship, 9 points in arrears of championship leader Victor Martin, who will start alongside him. And the difference between first and second in points is 7. So if Caio Collet can take victory today with Martin second, it will be back to just 2 points between them. Second row of the grid, 2 more cars from ART Grand Prix. Top rookie, Paul Aron, Gregoire Saucy from Switzerland alongside. Third row, Amaury Cordeel, except he stopped on the way round to the grid, so Franco Colapinto all alone, starting from 6th on the grid. Lorenzo Columba, the Italian, and the Spaniard David Vidal, another really promising rookie, start from row number 4. Row 5, it's an all-Czech affair. Petr Petacek and Roman Stanic, Race GP and MP Motorsport. Then Timon van der Helm, Alex Quinn, the one British racer in the field for Arden. 2 rookies looking for those rookie honours. William Alatalo, he's had a mixed meeting so far. There's more speed to come from him. He's 13th. Belgian racer Hugo de Wilde alongside. Then Hadrian David, he's been up and down the order as a rookie. And Rechad de Guerus, so 2 French drivers on the penultimate row. And then Laszlo Todt and Nicola Marinangela, who didn't actually get to set a time because he put his car into the tyre wall after an earlier spin at turn 3. Went off at Gerlachbot, interrupted the session a bit. He's fine, the car's fine. Ready to go racing. So full grid of cars going around this formation lap. Entering now the final few corners. They're running down that infield straight. And then out of the third corner from the end, the Hans-Ernst-Bocht through the Kumo Bocht, and the first 2 cars, as they go around the banking back towards the grid for Amaury Cordeel, the disappointed, shoulders down, walk back to the pits, due to be starting 5th, finished 5th in the first race. And huge disappointment for Cordeel there. For the FA Racing team by DriveX, his teammate Timon van der Helm at least gets to start, but he's starting down some way down the order, so big disappointment. His teammate starts 11th, and that 5th grid slot empty for FA Racing. Yes, because the 5th car in the line, it's the red nose of Franco Colapinto, his MP Motorsport car number 11, going towards the pit wall side. Pole is on the outer side of the circuit. It's affords a wider entry line into Tarzan, and for Caio Collet, the Brazilian, in that number 1 car, hoping that Victor Martin will not make a better start from the inside, because he doesn't want him right up his inside when he gets to Tarzan. 1 car missing, 1 car pulled off the circuit on the drive around to the grid. Amaury Cordeel massively disappointed, but 17 cars still out there ready to play. But it's not play, far more serious than that. The green flag is waved. The starting lights can be lit. We wait till we get the 5 red lights, and then they will turn to green. Who will make the better start? Will it be Caio Collet from pole position or Victor Martin from alongside? Marginally better start from Caio Collet, easily able to pull over into the lead of the race. The 2 other cars from ART Grand Prix being challenged, and one of them at least being passed by Franco Colapinto in number 11. So he's split the ART cars, everyone else behaving very, very tidily and well. But the point at which they might like to try some overtaking is coming right now into the bowl. This banks new approach to the Hugenholzbocht, and side by side they go, but often the wider line is the better on exit because it gives you more acceleration on up the hill. And now we're having a challenge because Victor Martin has been passed by one of his own teammates. Paul Aron has gone into 2nd place. Caio Collet has gone off into the distance. So this is really good news for Paul Aron. Even better news for Caio Collet, because his championship rival, he's the one who's got rotten news, back into 3rd place. So again, better exit speed out of the Hugenholzbocht, and that is why Victor Martin, championship leader, has lost out to one of his teammates, the young rookie Paul Aron. So for Paul, that is a fabulous, fabulous move, not maybe enjoyed quite as much by his own teammate. Having got in front in 91, Paul Aron is actually already starting to pull slightly clear of Victor Martin. This is a different script to the one his French teammate would have had, but Paul Aron, 17-year-old, was racing Formula 4 at the start of the year. He's clearly stepping up in style, and talking about style, oh, I nearly thought that was the wrong style being applied by number 51, Laszlo Todt, the Hungarian racer, just managed to stay off the curbs at the Hans-Ernst-Bocht. So, as we sweep around through the Arie Luyendyk-Bocht, an unusual lead in Formula Renault. At the end of the race, they're not often that far clear, but it's going to be almost 2 seconds to the good for Caio Collet, not over Victor Martin, but by, let's just see, what's the gap? 1.3 seconds over Paul Aron. So Victor Martin is having to pass back other cars, trying to get a slipstream down the start-finish straight, and side by side they go. Car 20 on the outside, that's Alex Quinn. He's going to run out of road, just kissing the gravel trap, had to come off the power a little bit, cede that position. winners and losers and all that. Certainly Paul Aron, definitely a loser. Victor Martin needed to get into the lead, couldn't do it, but would be happy. He'd still be a championship leader if he got into second place. Hasn't done that yet. He's back in third behind one of his own teammates. Franco Colapinto made the move from, well, he was sixth on the grid. The car next to him didn't get start, so that was immediately up to fifth, then up to fourth, now ahead of Grégoire Saucy. Not only has Paul Aron demoted his teammate, the first sector of the lap he was fastest of anybody, but Victor Martin in 92 trying to go around the outside of the Estonian. That's the long way round at turn 10, but he's run out of road on the exit and had to come off the power a little bit. That means the car behind Franco Colapinto will gain a bit, but he's desperate to get past Paul Aron. But Paul is well, he's absolutely stout in his defence. His best finish, as I said, he's got a second place already, but a lot of his other results are down around the tail of the top 10 or even beyond. So this is a driver performing right at the top of his skill. Second, third and fourth, starting to drop the driver in fifth. Grégoire Saucy just falling away slightly, and in fact second and third now starting to pull away from Franco Colapinto as well. He's trying to get into their slipstream to get a bit of a tow, but talking a tow, fabulous tow caught there. Brilliant exit from Victor Martin. He was really, really strong through that final corner in the first race, and very, very good on the brakes. He got such a good tow off that brilliant exit from Arie Luyendyk box. He was able to go up the outside, and I must say Paul Aron didn't make it too difficult, which is good. We could have had two cars in the gravel trap. Kaya Collet, by the way, a footnote in the race, despite the fact he's leading at 2.4 seconds to the good after two laps. He took that pole with real intent, 0.3 of a second quicker than Victor Martin. That was quite a statement. Now he's clear. The gap will possibly come down, but I say Kaya's really, really stretching his legs. First part of this lap, yeah, quicker than, Victor Martin was actually marginally quicker. But Victor now up into second place. Let's see what he can do. He's already starting to drop Paul Aron, but the story of this race is going to be the clock counting down to 0 after half an hour of racing, plus the bonus lap. That extra lap beyond the half-hour mark could be one that is just a great, great help for Victor Martin, because he's not going to be taking great chunks out of the race leader, Kaya Collet. He's going to be trading in tenths of a second, and that clock at the top of the screen will count down to 0 super fast from his point of view, super slowly from the point of view of Kaya Collet. Top runner in the rookie class, still Paul Aron, but of course he was started this lap in second place, almost immediately passed. He's down in third. The next rookie is David Vidal, who's gone up for 8 to 6, so at least he's making progress as well. It's been a very good lap for Victor Martin. Got up into second place. 2.7 seconds now down on the race leader. So Kaya Collet stretched his legs a little bit more, but Victor Martin's lap, don't forget, slightly slower, 0.2 slower, but it did include that overtaking manoeuvre into Tarzan that automatically puts a driver off the ideal line. Now let's see on this lap if they match each other for pace. The first two, the championship dicing duo. Victor Martin now in second place. Kaya Collet leading the race. Bit of a gap opening out behind Franco Colapinto. Grégoire Saucy can't live with him. He's got David Vidales all over his tail. And not far behind Vidales is the Bitec 53 of Lorenzo Columba. 32 is Vidales, second rookie in the race. Paul Aron is the top rookie in third overall. Vidales hunting down the red car in front of him. '93, Grégoire Saucy, David Vidal is in behind. Sorry, the red car, of course, is Franco Colapinto in fourth place. And there is Saucy holding on to fifth place. Vidal is tucked in behind in sixth, but closing all the time. Pretty much equidistant, the long gaggle of cars that runs all the way down to the very last car in the field. Everyone's got someone to play with. Kaya Collet doesn't want anyone to play with. 2.7 seconds clear of Victor Martin last time, and Martin takes 0.2 of a second off him. He's got to do that every lap to try and get onto the tail of the Brazilian. This is going to lead to tears. 32, David Vidal is trying to get up inside Grégoire Saucy into Tarzan. Again, compromise both of them. That allows those behind Lorenzo Columba included to close in a little bit more, but this battle for fifth is getting really quite exciting here. It's getting tighter and tighter. These young drivers getting used to the bank corners, Hugenhofsbocht and the Arie Luyendyk bocht, and they know full well what sort of a chance to take if they go in tight, because you're going to be slow on the exit, but you may get your nose in front. Much less complicated battle for the lead of the race. Kaya Collet sitting on a lead of 2.5 seconds, and now he's into second place in clean air. Victor Martin just gaining a few thousandths here or there. It really is dealing in small, tiny fractions of a second, but the point is, at the moment, the French driver is gaining. That's all he has to keep doing, rattling the car over the curbs. Take the widest line. Well, let's go down, because ART, their cars are right at the front. So let's hear from their manager, Gemma.
Matthew, we've seen a great battle starting very early on between two of your drivers there, Paul and of course,
and
Victor.
Yeah.
It's been a nail-biting moment for you guys.
Yes, we just expected to not crash both cars. Victor did really not the ideal first lap, but it's like this. Now he's P2. He has a good pace. I think he has the fastest lap at the moment. So we just expect to continue like this and try to catch Caio Collet, who is quite strong this weekend.
They need to just keep out of trouble now.
Yes, exactly.
Thanks, Matthew.
You're welcome.
Well done too for Mathieu, trying to fight against the run of cars, literally nose to tail coming past him. He's up on the pit wall, very hard to hear, but well done to Mathieu. ART Grand Prix, really well placed. Their cars second, third, which is Victor Martin, Paul Aron, and fifth in the case of Grégoire Saucy, so new to the Formula Renault series, and delivering in the way that we'd expect them to do. Good battling now for third place. Paul Aron still holding on, top rookie in third place, but lots of pressure coming from behind from Franco Colapinto. Franco's season was up and then it's been down a bit, but now it seems to be coming up again. He won that opening race of the season at Monza back in July, pretty much as racing got going again around the world, but since then he's been struggling to get towards the podium. He made first and third at the first meeting, not been higher than sixth since then, but batting at the right end, up in fourth place overall. And while he's doing that, fighting for third place, the first two getting ever further clear. 2.5 seconds between Victor Martin in second place and Paul Aron in third at the start of this lap. That would have gone out because Victor is going faster and faster. He has the fastest lap already. He's trying to reduce the lead to Caio Collet. Down the start-finish straight, there goes 2.7 seconds between them last lap, then 2.5, and then 2.5 again. Victor just finding a few thousandths. Every time you think he's going much faster, not. He's only going faster by a few thousandths in each of the three timing segments around the lap from Caio Collet. Collet, though, still in the lead, 2.5 seconds to the good. And this battle for fifth place, Grégoire Saucy being hunted down by the second rookie, David Vidal, in number 32. David taking very similar lines there as they went out the Hugenholz box and then up over the hill. You go up over a rise and you drop down into the dip, and then that's the Rob Slottermacher box model there. Then suddenly it flips to the right. Drivers often cut the tightest corner with their right-hand wheels off the edge of the track, going a little bit airborne from time to time. And you need to be absolutely planted for this next corner, Chevlac, where you dive down into the dip in front of that giant bank of gravel ahead of you. Any faller will be caught somewhere up. It feels like a mountain face. And just looking at the rookie class, it's still Paul Aron on top. They've got the red flash behind their name, so he's third. David Vidal is second. Sorry, he's first. David Vidal is second, and Dutch racer Timon van der Helm third. He's running down in ninth overall, so he's picked up places since the start. The race started 11th, so he picked up one when Amaury Cordil didn't get to take the start. His car frustratingly pulled off at the side of the circuit, but there he is, car number 73 on home ground. His next target is Petr Petacek, and they're all very close. In fact, the three cars ahead of him, all just half a second or less between them. But for Timon van der Helm, that blue nose car at the back of the pack, as you can see, he's got 4 cars ahead of him, and I reckon 2 seconds covers the lot of them, right up to 93, which is Grégoire Saucy. First to second, 2.3 seconds. It went 2.7, 2.5, 2.3, so it's going the right way, but it was only 15 hundredths of a second gained last time around by Victor Martin as he tries to hunt down Caio Collet. The gap back to Paul Aron, 5.5 seconds, so whatever any of their 16 rivals do, these top 2 are the cream at the top of the milk bottle. Caio Collet, Victor Martin, well clear in the championship. David Vidal is sort of hanging on, should either not score, and if he could come through to win, then he's the one who can keep them honest. But he's down in 6th place, still stuck behind Grégoire Saucy. Roman Stanek, the other MP Motorsport car. The first one is driven by Franco Colapinto in 4th. But Roman Stanek, number 12, joining the championship this weekend, being pushed very hard by Alex Quinn. The black and white Arden car, number 20, tucked in behind. He's 4th in the rookie standings, and William Alatalo, who's just behind him in number 38. The JD Motorsport cars is 5th in the rookie rankings. The gap's under 2 seconds now. Another lap started. 8 laps on the board. 1.996 seconds. Fastest lap of the race, just set by Victor Martin in his pursuit. He took 1/3 of a second on that lap alone, and finally a move. Oh, it was coming, it didn't work. Gregor Saucy just hangs on, but the prize for trying at the moment is going to David Vidal, car number 32. Spanish racer pushing super hard. That one actually came quite close to Bose. Now, who's going to go too deep? No. Equitable line around the corner, and the car tucked in behind Lorenzo Columba. Well, he must be thinking this one could be landing in my lap any moment. Saucy does all he can to defend from David Vidales. Any little loss of momentum when the cars are this close for any of this trio will lead to place gains as they fight so hard over 5th, 6th and 7th positions. No one wants 7th. Move up. In fact, as they do so, they're being caught now by Petra Potacek, closing in the background of the shot. Yeah, he's gained as they've been fighting, and then behind Timon van der Helm in 9th, Roman Stanek completing the top 10. Becomes a bit mesmeric when you are so close to another car. You almost start to adopt their pace, because if you're slightly faster at one part and they're not so quick, you could lead to contact. Fortunately, it hasn't done yet, but you do just start to become fixated, so I'm told, with the tail end of the car in front. Have to shake yourself out of that. The person who has shaken himself out after that poor start is Victor Martin. He's gained another little bit, 1.816 seconds down. He took 0.18 of a second out of the car in front. The race leader, Caio Collet, but we're pretty much at the halfway point in the race. Another lap, and we will be. Just remind you. Oh, and finally the change has happened, because to the inside, to the outside, around the outside, when David Vidal's great move past. Well, let's go down to the pit lane while the action is furious on the track, and we'll hear Gemma has got Roberto Cavelli.
Roberto, we've been watching David driving an incredible battle there, and I believe from the reaction on the pit wall that he's just taken
we just passed the car in the front, so we are P5. Unfortunately, we had a crash this morning in the qualifying. It was very tricky condition. First time for him. You know, he's coming for karting without drive any category before, and for him was the first time on this tricky condition, and he made a mistake at the end of the practice, and we start P8. Now we are P5, so we are quite happy.
Excellent stuff. We'll see him continue to push.
Of course. Now the race is not finished yet, but we know how it's difficult to overtake with this car in this track. But so with David, we can expect everything. So everything is possible now.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye.
Well, indeed, I think a point well made. Every other driver in the field has competed in Formula Renault before, or Formula 4, a lot of them stepping up to Formula Renault this year. But David Vidal is 3rd in the championship, not raced a car until this year. And of course, for him, he wanted his year to start in March or April, didn't we all? But going impressively well. He's still 2nd in the rookie class, but importantly, up ahead of Gregor Saucy. The bottle has been uncorked. He's now going to set off after Franco Colapinto. Franco's in the red car with the black band on it. Just in the middle of our screen there, car number 11. 2.5 seconds up the track from David Vidales, but I really fancy David to be able to start closing that gap. David third in the championship behind the dominant duo Victor Martin, who's on 158 points. Caio Collet, who's leading the race, is now on 149. There's a 9 points difference between them. If they finish as they are, it will go back to how it was when we arrived here. 2 points will be the difference between the top two, but let's not get ahead. We're at the halfway point in the race. The gap between Caio Collet leading the race and Victor Martin, 1.8 seconds at the moment. It has been coming down. Is it going to continue coming down? No, because the first part of this lap, our race leader Caio Collet, number 1 race GP entry, stretches it out the other way. It's the first time he's made a gain over the chasing Victor Martin for the last 2 or 3 laps, so that's slightly encouraging. Middle part of the lap, and the 10th gained is squandered and goes the other way, so it's going to be very, very even. But 1.8 seconds, if he keeps staying even, that will still be the margin, obviously, at the end of the race. But he cannot afford to let Victor Martin get right in onto his tail, because then he can get a slipstream down the start-finish straight. Car 20 pushing on Alex Quinn right in the tail of Roman Stanek there. Here's the gap between first and second over the start-finish line. Looks so it's come down a little bit more. No, it's gone the other way. 1.989 seconds. Let's call it 2 seconds. So the good first part of that lap was manifest around the final part as well for Caio Collet. And it's another lap in which Victor Martin has not been able to get into his slipstream. That is important, because as soon as Victor Martin gets into striking distance, into the slipstream, into the toe, then he's got a chance. And we've seen he's already very good down into Tarzan when he deposed his own teammate Paul Aron, went around the outside and went from third back up to his starting position of second. Hugenholzbach with that wonderful re-profiling with a banked curve. It just makes it such a fabulous visual treat as the cars drop into the dip and then try and get enough gravel grip to scrabble their way out of the other side and then accelerate on up the hill. And these drivers learning as they go. I'm sure their track walk on Thursday would have been very, very interesting indeed. I agree, this is really rather steep, and then even more so when they get to the Arie Luijendijk box. Good scrap, still Alex Quinn in 11th, Roman Stanek in number 12 just in front of him. Tiemann van der Helm now a second away, cleared, just saw him going out of shot, Dutch racer. He's got to find 3/4 of a second to catch Petr Protacek, who has to find half a second to catch Lorenzo Columba. Here's a theme, and another half second, and Columba will be on the tail of Grégoire Saucy. So it's really stabilised the order, but a lot of these drivers could gain a place if they could get a toe down the start-finish straight. Some were close to start with, but gradually the gap's going out from 1/4 of a second to half a second. And once it goes out to a second, then it becomes harder and harder to close in. But let's just have a look. What sort of pace is David Vidal doing? Well, he's taking time out of Franco Colapinto. We saw him go past Grégoire Saucy not long ago. Car number 32, the second best rookie in the race, David Vidal. He's now 1.5 seconds down on Colapinto. And in every timing sector, let's have a look. Yes, he's taking small margins. It's all small margins. It's so close. But there, look. Lap 10, he gained 1/4 of a second. 6/10 of a second next time out, and then another 1/4 of a second over Franco Colapinto. So it's going the right way since he moved up into 5th. Colapinto in the red number 11, red and black number 11 from MP Motorsport. But David Vidal is JD Motorsport closing in, but look, just over 10 minutes remaining in this race. Plus, don't forget that extra lap that is added after the half hour. Then I'm not to quite get it right. And I think you can see the dust being kicked out. That was in the bowl. That was right at the tail of the field. I think was that Reshad Digaruz. I'll have another look later on. But they both ran too deep and ran out of road, but didn't hit the barriers on the outside. But still kicked up the dust. They got very, very close to the tyre wall on the exit, but nearly came to a standstill. By my reckoning, it was the other race GP car. So was that Petr Protacek? Well, we'll have a look. Anyhow, see what happens when two cars are greatly delayed, but certainly no problems at all in the lead of the race. 1.9 seconds again for our race leader. That's his advantage. It bombs up by a tenth. It goes back the other way. And the laps keep tumbling down. The laps to run keep tumbling down. 13 laps on the board for our top half dozen, and the rest completing their 13th lap right now. Caio Collet from Victor Martin. A gap of 10 seconds back to Paul Aron. And then super, super close, 3:93. That's Petr Protacek and Grégoire Saucy. So I falsely accused Petr Protacek of being involved in something further back in the field. Tiemann van der Helm, so that's 7th, 8th and 9th positions. And Roman Stanek still in 10th, the red and black car from MP Motorsport. Alex Quinn right on his tail, William Alatalo as well. Tiemann van der Helm is suddenly making a really, really good run on Petr Protacek. Can he make it stick? No, for now 73 stays in behind, but that's the closest he's been. A much, much better exit from the Hugenholzbach. So even third best rookie in this race at the moment, but just as he got up close, he's now lost a little bit of ground again. He's lost about 2 or 3 car lengths. He's going to have to choose his moment, but again, he's now found out a way, unless there was a mistake from Protacek in front of him, that he's maybe found a better line, an ultimate line out of Hugenholz, because he certainly carried more speed up the hill. Just having a look to see who it was. Was it Nicola Marin-Angeli and Laszlo Topp who had that moment? Can't quite work that out. Hold on, coming over the start-finish line right now. If it's 51 and 52, so it is. Those. No, it isn't. Sorry. I jumped my gun there trying to get my identification in, but I still feel it probably was those two, Nicola Marinangeli and Laszlo Toll, two rookies at the tail of the field who got it wrong at the Hugenholzbach. They live to fight another day. First to second, 1.9 seconds. It's like there is no change. Caio Collet and Victor Martin are swapping fastest laps, but they are trading literally thousandths of a second. They are so well balanced, the pair of them. Any other changes? David Vidal is now up into 4th place. Franco Colapinto only 0.49 of a second in front of him. Oh, what's happened is Paul Aron has suddenly dropped out. Car number 91 has suddenly dropped out. I thought Colapinto was in 4th. He's listed as 3rd. And there is the driver who ran 4th, who ran 2nd at the start of the race. And something has broken. There is gravel on the tyre. That's because he's driven off the side of the circuit. So he was running safely. He was 10 seconds down on the leading pair, running very comfortably ahead of Franco Colapinto, and suddenly the Argentinian for MP Motorsport is up into 3rd place. Aron, no points for him. That is a shame. He was looking as though he's finding better form than he's had for a while. He's already had a 2nd place earlier in the year, but that's been his only podium result, and the next one was coming today, but with 7 minutes to go at about the point the car started slowing, over and out for Paul Aron. So very, very disappointing for him. And for ART Grand Prix, they lose one of their runners. They had cars in 2nd, that's Victor Martin, Paul Aron in 3rd, and Grégoire Saucy in actually fallen back to 8th, but now he's up to 7th because Paul Aron off at the side of the circuit. Every lap, fantastic entry and balance to Chivlac for Victor Martin. It's been a real feature for me watching the cars around the circuit here, but it's not doing enough to get him any closer to the car in front. Caio Collet, his championship rival, leading the race for Race GP, still about 1.8, 1.9 seconds to good. Now up into 3rd place, Franco Colapinto, and that means, of course, with Paul Aron out of the race, David Vidales, who's hunting him down in the number 32 entry, is now the top rookie runner in this race. And Vidal is the only driver in this field who steps straight up from karting into this, and he's really making a fantastic show. Here's a replay of a very bold but ineffectual dive up into the bowl at Hugenholz, but luckily neither came to blows with each other or with the tyre wall on the outside of the exit of the corner, so they got away with that. Another lap on the board. 17 laps now completed. 1.9 second advantage for Caio Collet. It's 1.8 seconds now, but it's been this for at least the last 10 laps, just trading tiny margins. 2nd to 3rd looks a little bit closer. Franco Colapinto in 2nd, 0.7 of a second is his margin. That's all it is over David Vidales. It's 3 and a bit seconds back to Lorenzo Columba, who's racing for Bytek, and Petro Potacek now up into that 6th place. So he's been making advances, obviously, at the expense of Amaury Cordil, who retired before the race even started, and then Paul Aron, who just coasted in, or didn't coast in, coasted to the side of the circuit and parked up. So where is the next place change going to come? The clock continues to tumble towards 0, but I don't think it's going to come at the head of the race. Victor Martin doesn't seem to have the answer to the pace that Caio Collet has got. They are so evenly matched, but I fancy that Franco Colapinto is going to have to work really hard to try and resist the charging David Vidales. The first sector of this lap alone, David's taken he's taken a 1/4 of a second out of the car in front. That should get him within half a second of the Argentinian. This race is going to feel too short for one, too long for the other. Number 17, Adrian David, still trying to make up for that little moment not so long ago in his battle with Alex Quinn. They were the two that had the little stumble at the Hugenholzbach, but the fact A, they're still running, and B, running pretty close to the top 10, they're running 11th and 12th, means that they are still running at a fair pace. Now black and white driver warning flag, trying to see who that is being shown to. It's being held out as the leading, no, not the leading cars. This is the battle for 3rd place. Is it for them? Is it going to be taken in? No, it's still being held out there. It's for someone further down the order. Car in 5th place comes through, the dark car from Bytek, Lorenzo Columba, and it's car number 17, that's Adrian David. So obviously what happened in the Hugenholz Bowl obviously adjudged to be a little over-ambitious. His move there goes Adrian David in the yellow nose car for MP Motorsport. So So he's got that warning flag, and that actually gives a tiny bit of breathing space, not track space, but breathing space, the driver in front, to Alex Quinn, who takes the very high line. It looks as though there's an overtaking manoeuvre, but it wasn't. There are at least two lines through Kubenhol's spot, but the high line is the better one to take if you're not being challenged. David Vidal is in fourth place, number 32, getting closer and closer. Oh, sorry, that's further back. That's the other car. It's caught me out several times. That's William Alatallo, 38, right on the tail of Roman Stanek. Both the MP Motorsport cars, red on the nose, being hunted down. Both of them, though, resisting all challenges. And suddenly, the last lap was not such a good one for Victor Martin in second place. He's gone from 1.8, 1.9 seconds down to 2.3, nearly 2.4 seconds down on Caio Collet. This is the biggest lead he's enjoyed ever since Victor Martin got ahead of Paul Aron, back up into that second place and started chasing him. The gap came down, it stabilised anywhere between 1.5 and 1.8 seconds, and now suddenly 2.3 seconds has become 2.5 seconds halfway around this lap as the Brazilian continues to escape in the lead of this race. It was stable through the middle distance of this half-hour race, but the last few laps have suddenly been very good indeed for Caio Collet, or more to the point, not so good for the chasing Victor Martin. Battle for third place is probably a little bit hotter. It's just 0.7 of a second between Franco Colapinto in the red number 11, red and black number 11 from MP Motorsport, JD Motorsports, David Vidal is the karting rookie, stepping up to single seaters. He's ranked third in the championship, and he's shown the way. He's fought his way up through the middle order of this race to get back towards the front. Just what a promising talent he is. He started 8th on the grid, effectively 7th with Amaury Cordil not getting to take the start, but he's now up to 4th, fancies 3rd, but he's really starting to run out of time to make that move. David Vidal is pressing on number 38. He gets a point. Sorry, that's William Alatallo. David Vidal is further up. We've just looked at him. JD Motorsports' other car. David Vidal is in 1. William Alatallo in 38. Running as the 3rd best rookie in this race, but just cannot get his way past Roman Stanek. And absolutely, it's visual how this lead has gone out for Caio Collet. 33 seconds on the clock, so we'll do this lap plus one further lap. Nice tidy dropping down through the gears into Tarzan. Car perfectly balanced, advantage 2.5 seconds. Having had the chasing Victor Martin 0.7 of a second closer than that, that must just feel like a big gain the last 2 laps. So I don't know if it was a mistake, didn't spot a particularly a slower lap for Victor Martin, or is it just at this point in the race suddenly, by dint of not having to do any overtaking at all, just led from the start, didn't have to strain his tyres too much, stress them too much. Caio Collet may just have his rubber feeling a little sweeter at this late stage in the race. And again, for all these drivers, it's all a learning process. Victor Martin was in this championship last year, pushed really hard, didn't get the title, came back for more, so he knows exactly how to push these Tatuus built cars around, how to get the most out of their rubber, but he doesn't have the answer to the pace of the Brazilian. What a story over the past, well, since the very late 60s, since the Fittipaldi brothers came over, how quick Brazilians come to Europe and make a name for themselves. And Caio Collet looks though he's adding his name to the bottom of the list of the really illustrious ones, because this is a very impressive run for Collet. And again, so many of these drivers have their schooling in karts, had their first single-seater experience in Formula 4, step up to Formula Renault, and then it's a question of how they succeed. So on to the bonus lap, if you will. We have 30 minutes of racing plus an extra lap. We're on to that now, and the gap looks very similar, maybe getting out towards 3 seconds, 2.469 seconds. The job surely has been done, and look at the gap after the loss of Paul Aron. The gap back to Franco Colapinto much longer. Only now is Colapinto coming down the main straight over the start finish line, but importantly for him, he's still got the 32 in behind. That's David Vidal who's charging, and he's going to have to make it stick on this lap. This is the final lap. Gregoire Saucy still pressing on. He started in 4th, so he'll be slightly disappointed to be down in 7th place. Should be able to keep it, but Tiemann van der Helm in behind, number 73, the Dutch racer, trying to depose him, but he's been trying for quite some while. He got very close about 4 laps ago, but since then has fallen back to about half a second in the rears. If any move's going to come, it probably should have come at the Hugenholzbock, because though you can get a good toe out of the final corner, you don't make a passing manoeuvre with a good toe until you get down towards Tarzan, and that's beyond the start-finish line. But for Caio Collet, it's almost all done. He's gone through Scheivlak, Mastersbock, turn 9, turn 10. He's halfway through the Hans-Ernst-Bocht. Doesn't have to run it too wide, just nice and balanced, no point taking any risks. Humo-Bocht, and that leads almost directly into the final corner, new for this year. The bank final corner, 33 degrees of delight, so we're told. Car cuts in low, goes up high. That's the absolutely spot-on line. And at the end of the race, it's going to be another win for Caio Collet. He can back off, he can cruise to the line now. That's his third win of the season, and the run of 4 wins from 5 races comes to an end with a second place for Victor Martin. And Colapinto's done enough to come home in third place, just resisting David Vidal, who will be the top rookie. And then behind them in 5th place, he stayed there for quite some while. 53 entry from Vitek, Lorenzo Columba. Then a little bit of a gap. Then Petra Petacek, number 3, then a gaggle of cars. And did we have a change of places on the last lap? Yes, we did. Timon van der Helm got past Gregoire Saucy, so he goes up into 7th place. So perseverance pays. But at the end, the winner of the second of the Formula Renault Eurocup races here at Zandvoort, taken one back off his championship rival. Second yesterday, first today. And the reverse story for Victor Martin. First yesterday, second today. So just going down to complete the top 10. I'll show you we'll put the grid up in a moment and show you the order. But really the story of this weekend, the story of the championship so far, has been this battle that ebbs and flows between 2 drivers. And they're at the top of the table. Today it's Caio Collet's turn, so he closes the gap to just 2 points again over his championship rival, Victor Martin. Look at the gap back to 3rd place. It's huge. They really are in a class of their own. Great drive for Franco Colapinto. David Vidal is oh so nearly caught and passed him, so he worked his way up the order. Lorenzo Columba, Petra Petacek, second best of the rookie drivers. The Dutch driver on home ground, Timon van der Helm, last lap overtake up to 7th place. Gregoire Saucy, Roman Stanek and William Alatallo, they complete the point scorers. Great racing. They will all have learnt a lot, and I'm sure a vast majority will be back to race here next year, either in Formula Renault or maybe even the next level up. It is a training formula after all, and Formula Renault, you can see why it's been going so strong for 50 years. One driver failed to start, that was Amaury Cordil. Paul Aron, unfortunately, mechanical failure, failed to finish. The rest, they got some really great racing laps in. So Formula Renault continues to entertain, and it's certainly most entertaining when you're winning. And so for Caio Collet, came to do what he had to do today after finishing second yesterday, and he really put it out there and showed the skill that he's got to take that win. For Victor Martin, he had the frustration of being passed by one of his own teammates on the charge down to the first corner, lost a little bit of ground before he managed to go past on the outside at Tarzan to take the second place back. But by then, Caio Collet had got away. As soon as he closed in, Caio just showed he had a bit more pace at the end of the race. So I think it really was coming up trumps today for the Brazilian. And he's just coming around the long final corner at a bated pace to savour the moment of a very useful race weekend. You see how dusty actually it is at the very high point, because normally the cars get up to the high point just beyond there. And again, it's something the drivers need to consider when they choose their racing lines here at Zandvoort. But I do really think these 2 new bank corners have added immeasurably to the experience of racing at Zandvoort. Already a fabulous place to come racing, always popular with the drivers, normally with fantastic crowds of massive, real, rock-solid motor racing fans. The weather's behaved. There's certainly no guarantee of that. And looking at weather overnight from the Nürburgring 24 hours, not a million miles from here, but horrendous fog, rain, the works. But here we had a little bit of rain. Hadn't spoiled the racing. Today it's been bone dry, certainly as we went through the day, and the perfect racing surface for these young stars of the future to develop their craft. And Caio Collet looks like the finished project, as does Victor Martin as well. First and second today, first and second, but the other way round yesterday. So job very well done indeed. 2 non-finishers, by the way, of course. It was Paul Aron and Amaury Cordil that didn't get to start. But for Caio Collet and the Race GP team, relief and bravo indeed. An immaculate race from pole position. You can't advance from there, but you can go backwards, and he most certainly had no intention of doing that. Pretty much after every race this championship so far, these two have been congratulating each other in the area for the top 3 finishes. It's been really, really solid. For Victor Martin, he started the season with a 10th, but since then he's only been off the podium with 2 fourth places. The rest have been wins, seconds and thirds. Today, though, it was a second, but it was a first. The 3rd victory this year for the Brazilian, for Caio Collet, and he is very, very pleased with that. So tight at the top of the championship, just 2 points between them. David Vidal is the best of the rest, but with every race just falling away a little bit. And it was very interesting yesterday hearing Nick de Vries down on the grid, Dutch racer at home. He was the champion in Formula Renault Eurocup in 2015. He looked at these cars and goes, wow, they've really, really come on since I raced in them. So ever more sort of advanced in the features they offer. And again, you have to keep reinventing yourself, and Formula Renault does it absolutely brilliantly. But let's go down. Brilliant, brilliant run from Caio Collet. 3rd win of the season. And he's a very, very happy young man indeed. Let's go down and hear from the winner.
Caio, a fantastic race. You managed to pull out a bit of a gap, but I'm assuming you felt the pressure from behind you.
Yeah, I think the focus was on the start. I think we had a pretty good car and we were really consistent the whole race. I think that was the key to win for sure, without any mistakes and anything. And I'm really happy about today. I think the team did a really good job with the car and everything. We could bounce back from yesterday and took the pole. And I think that was the key of the day.
The rivalry between yourself and Victor is really getting hot.
Yeah, it is. I think he's a really competitive guy and a really good driver as well. So I enjoy a lot the races with him, but it's better to stay ahead. I mean, but yeah, the team did a really good job, thanks God, and also the team. It was a really nice weekend.
Fantastic. Well done, Caio.
Thank you.
Great result. And I do believe standing by is Victor, the man we were just talking about, who finished, of course, in 2nd place. Victor, not the result you wanted to when we spoke yesterday, but really tough racing today.
Yeah, actually it's still a good, some really good points for the championship.
Sure.
And yeah, I made a mistake in qualifying this morning. I gave the pole to Caio. I knew it was going to be difficult for the race if I wasn't going to do a really good start. I did actually a okay start like Caio did, and I tried to recover the gap I lost at the beginning of the race with Paul, and after yeah, I just pushed to try to recover that, and yeah, it's still P2, still really good points.
It is excellent points. Congratulations. Well done, Victor. Thank you very much. And 3rd place, of course, Franco Colapinto. Welcome to the podium. To see you joining these 2 boys who are really battling it out down to the wire.
Yeah, I mean, really happy. We are back here. We find a lot of pace this weekend. We were struggling a little bit in the beginning, and now I think that I had a really good car. Was really competitive during all the race, and the tires didn't drop too much. So yeah, happy to. I think we maximized everything today. So yeah, happy for that. Happy for the points, and happy for a new podium this year. So yeah, I hope that from now on we keep pushing like this, and we keep doing podiums and scoring more points.
Absolutely. Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So 3 young drivers finding their form, but certainly those top 2, Caio Collet and Victor Martin, it's going to go right to the last race of the season. I just hope there are no mishaps between them, and it carries on being just fantastic racing. And it was from the very beginning. A great start from Caio Collet from the outside of the front row, from pole position. That's on the outside. But it was this is as they're snaking their way around. But it was the loss of 2nd place, of course, for Victor Martin that led to some problems. But he soon got past his teammate Paul Aron and set off after Caio Collet. In behind, the cars all really jockeying for position into the Hugenholz box for the first time. But for Victor Martin, it was all about deposing his teammate. There he goes, tries to go around the outside of Paul Aron. He cannot let Caio Collet get away from him, but he eventually got up into that 2nd place, then chased off after the race leader. But the real story of the race was, though he tried to close in, he just couldn't make it stick. And in behind there was some fearsome racing, really fabulous stuff. Paul Aron right in the mix, but alas, he was to pull off with some form of mechanical failure, didn't get to finish the race just when he seemed to have 3rd place in the bag. That promoted Franco Colapinto with the charging David Vidal, who was racing really, really hard. There is Paul Aron pulling off Caio Collet still leading. It was stabilised about 1.8 seconds. Then an unfortunate clash down the order. Hadrian David diving into the side of Alex Quinn. He got a warning flag for that. On the final lap, Team van der Helm on his home track just managed to get ahead of Gregoire Saucy. That moved him up into 7th overall. But the win went to Caio Collet in the end by 2.5 seconds from Victor Martin. 3rd place to Franco Colapinto. But who is going to catch those top two? They're magical. Absolutely. Remember the names, Caio Collet and Victor Martin.